One of the hardest lessons for me to learn as a person, as an adult, was that the real heroes of history will never know their names. The real heroes of history go unseen, behind the scenes. They're the ones that lay the groundwork for revolution. And the figureheads that we do know, the names that we do know, stand atop these people's accomplishments, and the machine picked them to be our quote unquote heroes to drive the narrative that the machine wants to be driven. All of our heroes, for to some degree, are attached, or in most of the time unwillingly, to a destiny that is probably preordained by this machine matrix that we live in. Okay, so that we'll say, we can go back to Abraham Lincoln, we could talk about Martin Luther King, we could talk about different kings in history, we could talk about all these different figureheads in history. One thing that I've learned is that the only reason that we still know their names is because the people that are in power want us to know their names. They use those names to drive the narratives that they need us to follow in the present day. The people that we revere throughout history, that we hold reverence for, we hold it because of the stories that are attached to their names. They're heroes, but the heroes of our time are stuck working their day-to-day lives. Most of the people that will be the revolutionaries of this time probably work at Walmart, probably work at Target as some cashier, stuck in the grind, not necessarily thinking about driving revolution at the time because the machine has him distracted with trying to survive. He or she, or say he, just for the sake of argument for right now. He's stuck working this mundane job. He has to keep up with his rent, his lights, his bills, his kids, insurance, health, card note, and all of this stuff that people are finding themselves paying on top of being able to maintain relationships, human relationships with those people that he is trying to care for. It's almost impossible for him to think about anything outside the box. And when he does, flirt with the idea of what is happening in the world or what he could do to change what is happening in the world around him, he understands that those problems are so big and insurmountable. How can a person stuck in his position do anything when, like I said, they have bills and all of the aforementioned things that I just talked about, all of the things that he has to pay, all of the things that he has to maintain. How can he focus on changing the world when he has to maintain his own? And that is what the machine has done very well in subverting the saviors, the people that would drive change, even on down to a micro level. They became gatekeepers for everything that would inspire us. Take music, for example. We talk about it all the time on how the gatekeepers purposely drive a certain artist to the front of the line, right, for everybody to see from the bottom of the totem pole to the top. And we say, where did this person come from? We call them plants, we call them whatever, right? And a lot of times these artists, especially these music artists, will drive a negative message to certain communities in order to have those people on a vibration that is very low and stuck in a mindset that will keep them in a perpetual loop at the bottom of the totem pole, right? So you'll get these rap artists that are pushing money worship, is what I call it. Okay. Oh, money, 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 to people that don't have very little. So what do these people do? They do everything in their power to get it because they're taught to worship it. And their resources in their lives are artificially scarce because they live in food deserts, because the cost of living is insurmountable thing. Like I say, the machine drives these people to be in poverty. Okay. And then they also provide the soundtrack for these people to relish in that, right? And we look at that and we say, the dominant culture will look at that and say, look at how these people are bestial. Look at how these people are evil and sinful and all this other crazy shit that these um, this so-called dominant culture will put on people that they've already handicapped. Okay, that the machine, that they are part of the machine driving this machine against these people, then judge these people for being in this environment, right? The people stuck in that mindset, right? The 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 machine puts them there. Okay, and as I've learned, when you're living in that, right, how can you think about anything but that? Right? How can you think about anything but survival? And when you're taught by that media, by those voices, that survival means to do X, Y, and Z to put you in the crosshairs of law enforcement, of other men who are stuck in the same economic situation, right? The gangs, the drugs, all of these things, right? Everybody at the bottom clamoring to get to the top. Like I said, this artificial condition designed by the machine. You can't think about anything. You can't think about how to change the machine, right? The example I gave last time was like, if we're an avatar, we're one of these characters in the machine, and we realize we live in this machine, and this is our strife, right? How do we actually change the machine, even if we recognize the machine is down there when we're on the screen? It's very hard to do, right? That's where we are. That's where we are as people. We're stuck in the machine. The machine has made it so that all of the people that would be heroes, all of the people that would be inspired, are too busy stuck in this economic loop, trying to survive the machine to inspire anybody or to drive any type of revolution. They've done a very good job of that. And when you talk about black people, especially, because that's what I was talking about, obviously, there are conversations that we're still having that don't pertain to anything that will get that will make a that will elevate us. Right now, we as black people should be talking about this Palantir, Peter Thiel, or whatever the fuck his name is. These these tech oligarchs that are trying to make these predictive crime algorithm things that will say, okay, we can persecute people based on this algorithm because it's saying that these particular people are gonna have the are going to commit these crimes. And what have they done? They've created conditions to where people that look like me are committing what crimes in their neighborhood, in their condition. So what did this algorithm say? What would this algorithm say? What would this Palantir say? Well, we need to go and persecute these people even more because they're going to commit these crimes, even though the economic conditions are set up for these people to commit these crimes. And that's not making an excuse for people. Y'all know I don't do that on this channel, but I'm just saying we have to recognize what it is. This is a system that has driven those people into that. We don't bring the drugs into this country. It ain't these motherfuckers ain't getting these military grade weapons just out of the fucking ground. Somebody's dropping them off there. Somebody's providing these guns and this ammo with these kids. Guns and ammo is expensive for people that can barely afford to buy groceries. Where the fuck are they getting military grade hardware that I can't find anywhere, that you could barely find on the black market? Where are they getting these switches? You understand what I'm saying? They're being provided with these situations to keep them in a situation in this loop because the system needs a certain demographic to constantly be fed into the system for free labor and for X, Y, and Z. It is a system. So how do you think outside the system? Where are the heroes? They're too busy trying to survive this system. And even when you go to the middle tier, let's say somebody like me, this is it. They'll say, "Oh, you speak well," and all this other stuff. You can inspire this. Well, not if I'm living my life every day. I have to focus on living. I have to focus on eating. I have to focus on keeping myself out of jail that'll further drive me down this economic totem pole. It is a whole system. As I say, I'm a character within the machine. Even though I can recognize the machine, how can I change it? That is the condition that has been created. And maybe, just maybe, going all the way back to history, that's why I mentioned Abraham Lincoln and all these other people, the machine has always existed. And you can never necessarily change history. And that's why the heroes, the real heroes, the people that actually change the machine are always buried in time. And you never know their names. You never know who the real heroes are throughout time. You never will, because their efforts and what they do sometimes may be so small or minute that it may not be recognized by human perception, but they're a key and pivotal point for what has driven change throughout time. You understand what I'm saying? It could be just that it was a worker that refused to do X, Y, and Z that inspired other workers to do this, and it drove the spirit that, caused unions and all this other stuff, which are now going away. You understand? Like, where are those people? Those people are your fry cooks. Those people are working in an Amazon warehouse. Those people are fucking doing DoorDash. Those people are doing regular ass jobs, and they don't have the time to think outside the box. They don't even have time to create the new art that would drive the minds and inspire the young people to be better, right? We're still, like, the kids now are still, even the new music is based off of an old paradigm. You understand what I'm saying? Off of the old 20th century paradigm of glitz and glamour and fame, and nobody gives a fuck about that. No, music should be inspiring to the soul and to the spirit. Like I said, we live on a vibration here in this universe. That music should drive our vibrations higher, not lower, not down into our fucking bellies to where we can barely think about how we're going to survive the next day. The music should inspire us even when we're going through hardship, to be up, to be high, to be all right. Yeah, it may be this, but we got each other. But that ain't what the music do. What does the music say? Cheat, steal, fuck this. I gotta get this. I gotta get mine, me, mine. This. It's all that. It ain't about a higher vibration. It's not. It's not about elevating. That's not what the music. That's not what the media that they feed us is for. Is to drive our spirit low, to keep us in this low vibration, to keep us as these cogs working in a machine, as opposed to these ethereal creatures that we probably are, that resonate within us to be connected to each other. No, we're too busy trying to survive the machine. And heroes get buried. Heroes, real heroes, the real heroes in time get buried. You never know their names. You can even go to the American wars that we revere so much here in this country. Oh, we fought this war, we fought this war. The real heroes on those battlefields died over there. You never know their names. Their names are probably not even etched on some wall somewhere. They just are lost to time. It's like that. And that is one of the hardest pills that I've had to come to realize in this life. It is that a lot of our so-called heroes in this time are distracted. They are. And even when they are activated, even when they do come to life, even when they do realize that they have this ethereal spark that can drive change here within the machine, it may be too late. And even if they do find it and they do apply that pressure to this reality, we'll never know their names. They'll always push other people in our names. And what inspired this video today was I saw a video and they were talking about Black excellence, right? And they're talking about, and they started showing all of these Black artists and athletes, and right, like throughout the mid to late 20th century to now. You know what I'm saying? They had Denzel up there. They had different athletes and dancers. Uh they had Angela Bassett up there getting awards. They had all this Black excellence. And the one thing in my mind the whole time I'm watching this is all of this pageantry, right? This excellence that we're talking about, and it is excellent because these are great performers, that have created some amazing art and things. But when I think about it, who have they created it for? What have they done? They have constructed a Hollywood that has mystified the public, that has mystified our people and kept us in this lull. They haven't talked about nothing I've talked about in this video or any subsequent video. They've only served the machine as the actors and the glitz and glamour, and as the performers as they are. Good for them. They've made a bag. They put themselves up there. They're legends in their own right, but legends for whom? Legends for a machine. Like, the reason to drive it because every award I'm seeing them getting are white people's awards. Oh, they got the Tony and the Oscar and the Emmy, and then you see all these Black people in these monkey suits, and that's what I call a suit and a tie. I hate wearing that shit. The shit just nasty to me. All the collar. I know it looks nice, but I just don't like it. All getting up there, in like I say, this pageant, looking nice. All the lights, getting this gold from these white people, getting this pat on the head. But what revolution have they caused? These are the heroes that they want you to see. The Denzels, and I'm not taking away from them, the Oprahs and all these other people, the Barack Obamas. These are the people that they want you to see. These are who are the people that are really doing the actual work to change our culture, to fight the demons that have hijacked our culture and put this demonic like visage of what Black America is supposed to be in front of us, right? Who is really fighting those people behind the scene? Who's really fighting the money as opposed to worshiping the money on this stage? That's what inspired this video. Who are our real heroes? Why did they give Martin Luther King a street in every fucking city when at first he was talking about integration, and by the end he was talking about, well, hey, maybe we should keep segregation, because they knew that all Black, like, progress, especially when your real heroes do come to the front, will be subverted by that machine, that apparatus, and the powers that be that we do call white supremacy. And those voices will never come to the top. By the end of his life, he realized that he had put his people into a burning house. And I'm not saying I'm for segregation. I'm just saying that some of the things that America holds him up for, even by the end of his life, he started to question, only because he saw that America is a fucking snake. America's going to always blame its niggas, even though it's niggas, us. We're not the ones that are bringing the drugs into the country, like I said earlier. We're not the ones that's doing all these mass shootings. Yeah, we do mass shootings, but we do them to each other. We're not going into fucking people's churches and doing all that other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? We're not the one that's creating viruses and nuclear weapons and opening up portals to other dimensions. And we're not doing all that. And y'all can say, oh, it's because y'all are backwards as people. No, I say it's because we have a harmony with the fucking planet. We could just live with the fucking planet as it is. We don't need to pervert it to a point where everything is so goddamn artificial and not real, where it lacks soul and purpose. The point of life is joy. The point of life is soul. The point of life is community and to be connected, not to create this artificial fucking domino fucking nightmare hellscape that we live in, where we're all living in these individual cubicles, bereft of human interaction and activity, because we're isolating ourselves in order to mentally prepare for the next day just to survive within this machines. All of the heroes are buried doing that bullshit, trying to keep up with the fucking Joneses. And the machine does such a great job of keeping the Neos in their cubicle, keeping the Neos, the Mr. keeping the Neos being Mr. Anderson, because before they can find out that they are Neo. If y'all know the reference, I'm starting to realize there's a lot of people that never seen the Matrix. Okay, the girl I was saying, she was like, I use a lot of Matrix references in real life. Unfortunately, I'm horrible. Okay, she said to me, she said, I never seen the Matrix. What? All this time I'm using all these Matrix references, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just crazy. And there's probably some people watching this video feeling the same way. But if y'all recognize that, people call them neurodivergent or weird or whatever, you recognize that spark exists in some of your family members or your kids or nieces, nephews, people that brother, sister, whoever. If you notice that spark is in them, that spark of revolution. I'm not saying about going out there with picket signs and all that in this designated area. And no, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the spark of revolution that wants to. And, revolution can happen without a shot being fired. Revolution can happen without violence. Revolution is, a lot of times, it starts in the mind, in a mindset. And sometimes the people that society call neurodivergent or weird or whatever are the people that have the spark to change what society is. And sometimes it's through their art and through how they express those thoughts to the world. You understand? And if their art is being suppressed because they're too busy trying to figure out how to survive, or they're fucking stuck at being a barista at Starbucks, or their family's not just calling them weird because they have these different ideas about what reality is and stuff. Don't do that. Nurture that it's in them, because they're probably one of the heroes of history that will be forgotten. That's all I'm saying. You just never know. And with that being said, I hope y'all got what I was trying to get at on this Monday. I'm trying to inspire some motherfuckers too. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate that, I see a lot of people wanting to give up living in this machine. That's another thing that inspired this video. People saying, well, what's the point? I don't have kids. I don't have this. I'm never going to buy a house. I'm only doing this this job and this job to get by. I'm tired of doing the same thing every day, day in, day out. What's the point? What is the purpose? To those people, I agree with you. And I'm not saying to take yourself out, nothing like that, but I want you to hear me for just a second. I completely agree with everything you're saying. So I'm not taking away from nothing that you're saying. If you don't have none of those things, because what inspires me, what keeps me strong, honestly, and I hope my kids know this, are my kids. Like, if I didn't have my kids, there's a lot of, I wouldn't be as mentally, and I know I don't have a relationship. I'm not in their life, technically, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that they exist, okay, and the fact that, I do have to pay, I have to provide for them. It gives me purpose, you know what I'm saying? It makes me want to have to keep a job, because that, I know they need, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me want to get on here and have a positive message, because just in case they do watch my videos, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me want to be a better me, because they exist, and at some point, I would want them to at least want to take something from me to be a better version of themselves, right? So there's a lot about having kids that give you purpose in this life, whether you know it or not. Even when you're as nihilistic as me, it, it, it having a family offsets that, right? And I know there's a lot of young men in their late 20s and early 30s that don't have that, and they don't have no purpose. They sick of going to work. They sick of doing that. Da, da, da. But what I'm gonna tell y'all is this time will pass. Focus on you. I know you've been focused on you. I've been trying to survive. What I mean by focus on you is don't focus so hard on survival and trying to be the cog in the machine like I've been speaking on, but take just a little bit of extra time to focus on you and improving you for this superficial world so that you can obtain the things that you want to obtain, because they are not impossible to obtain. They're not. And don't let this machine and this media and these videos of these women saying you need to be this tall and you have to be this rich and this and that in order to fucking start a family. That is not true. If that was the truth, everybody out here, including myself, that have all these goddamn kids and families and all this other stuff, wouldn't have ever had kids because we've never been rich. Okay, no, most people that have families and a life, they're not rich. They just did it. They took a risk and they did it. It may be a stupid risk that society, you're just stupid, you didn't have this, you didn't have that, blah blah, but it gave their life purpose. And I'm not saying you should have kids to give your life purpose. That's not the point of that. I'm saying I understand where y'all are coming from, but I'm telling y'all to fucking hold on. This time will pass. This is just a time. This is a moment in time. Be one of God's strongest soldiers. This machine is not going to tell you that it wants to genocide a good portion of the population. It's not going to tell you that it needs to call off. Like I always say, there needs to be a calling. The calling is happening. It's already happening. But it's not going to openly say, we need this many people to die. No, it's going to create the conditions artificially, like I say, for people to self take themselves out of the machine. You understand? And that's what it's doing. So when you say you don't see the purpose, that is the machine working on you. And if you can be conscious of that, it'll get you over that fucking hump. You understand? To say, okay, yeah, I understand that this is art. This is an artificial situation. Me going to fucking work at Jack in the Box and living in this fucking room every goddamn day is artificial, right? That's an artificial thing. I know that if I just have to maintain, right? And I know it's like, damn, how can I figure it out? You have to figure something out. It's like a video game. Look at it like a video game. Look at it like a puzzle. You're stuck in this box. How do you get out of this box? It's a way, and sometimes it's just incremental steps. It may be uncomfortable steps. You may have to get out of the box, get out of the cardboard box to live in a shoebox for a little bit, but that shoebox may be the transition for you to live in the mansion. I'm just being, not trying to be. I'm just being. This is how this reality works. This reality is some stupid shit. You understand? That's why y'all see sometimes you can be working your ass off, but you can see the person putting just a little bit of effort get to the top, because in their mind they already knew they're going to get to the top. That's what manifestation is, reality of thought. And this, I'm going to do this, and they just already know they're going to be there, and they end up there, right? That's how some of these idiots end up at the very top, because there's no doubt in their mind that they're going to be at the top. You have to stop doubting who you are, especially when it comes to something as simple as having relationships with people. Make yourself viable. Make yourself somebody that women want to be around. And we're just talking about physically, because I've seen so many videos, and even in my comments, of people saying, "Oh, you look like a certain way, so it's easy for you to say, take that out of it. Don't matter how you fucking look as a man. A lot of times, it's who you are, and if you can like sometimes y'all niggas need to lower y'all standards too. We're not all gonna get supermodels, bro. You got to go for fucking women that like you and who want to be with you. Some of y'all are overlooking some women that are quality women, and that's why y'all are never starting families, because y'all waiting on fucking Heidi Klum or fucking what's one of the new ones, the one of the new birds, like one of these hot chicks to come through and for you to knock them up, and that's not gonna always happen. Sometimes you have to settle for average because you are average dude too. It's just what it is. You have to figure. Might have to fucking, if you working at Jack in the Box every day on the fries, you might have to fucking talk to Wendy that's working in the drive-through and be okay with that. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys know what I meant when I'm saying everything I'm saying. I hope I wasn't rambling too much, and I'll catch y'all next time.